That's my perspective. No matter your race, no matter your age. On my perspective, don't even worry about your fear. Come on and bring your thoughts right here. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Let's bring our thoughts together. On my perspective. That's my
Hi, and this is your girl Lisette, and welcome to My Perspective Mondays. Hooray! Let's welcome our cast. Hey, it's good to be here tonight. We got another hot topic. We want to know, and we're going to discuss. We want your perspective out there, so please don't forget to put in the live chat, give your comments and your questions on what is the ideal age for you to wait to get married. Come on. Come on. Is that juicy there? Come on up in here. All right. Who wants to go first?
I do.
Mark always wants to go first, and I love it. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, a little Google search will show this as well.
Oh, here we go.
People are waiting later to get married, according to the research. The average age or median age, whatever, for getting married used to be, say, 24, 25, and now it's around 29 or 30. So if you're one of those people that's not married yet, you're still in your 20s, just join the crowd. I think the reasons for it may be that, one, people are just cohabitating before they get married for longer periods of time. Some people just not get married at all, and some people are just waiting for other reasons, getting their career on track or what economic reasons, what have you. But, it's cultural norms. I mean, because, once upon a time, and it's still a case in a lot of cultures, particularly for women, when you hit your teen years, those were marrying years. And that's not the case in our culture now. But that's just where it is. People are waiting longer now. So whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, you decide. That's where it is. Wait longer.
What you say about that, T.O.?
I actually agree. I'm not shocked. That it's
Somebody's watching the YouTube video in the background. You gotta mute it.
Oh wow.
No cheating.
No, yeah, I'm shocked that it's not further, like the numbers aren't further, like down, like for as I would say my ideal age now based off experience, because I'm a recently separated from my wife, like recently.
What was the pause for? You don't have to be scared anymore.
Yeah, so I saw this topic. I was like, I don't want to sound like the scorn guy or whatever, because me and we on great terms. We get along. I was 26 when I got married. Like I said, I'm 39 now. We were married 13 years. That's a long time. To me, I think that's a long time. Being 26, like in your 20s, you're still really trying to figure a lot of stuff out. I don't think, we really knew. I think we knew what we were getting into, but we didn't really know, for as when time goes on, you get older, you get different ideas, you get different perspectives on things, and you kind of start changing, and you have to really change with each other. We did that for the most part, but I will say this: we got to a point to where I think we just started to drift a little bit for us, like just how we wanted to move forward, like versus how we wanted to achieve certain goals, the way we wanted to do it, and the old cliche irreconcilable differences or whatever, like that's a real thing. I had to actually look that up because I wanted to see what it meant. You hear celebrities and stuff throw that term out there, for media purposes, just to kind of shut everybody up. But that was a real thing. Like we just couldn't find a way to agree on important matters or whatever. And but since this is recent. We only been separated now, maybe like three months now. But we get along now better than we had the last year or so, all because we finally sat down and had the conversation, and it was like the weight was like lifted off of both of our shoulders. So I'm not finna go on this whole soapbox.
Wait.
I would say,
Who knew
40.
this was the topic to get Tio to talk so much?
Yeah, this was kind of here. But to answer the question, I would say 40, because you at 40, you kind of start really figuring life out. At 20,
Now, are you saying 40 for men or 40 for women? Because women
I was about
can't
to ask
really
that
wait that
too.
long.
Anybody.
Gotta have kids starts closing.
I was about to say the human race will disappear under that scheme because you're too old to have kids.
40, man. 40, because at 30s, you're trying to, 20s, you're just trying to figure stuff out. 30s, you're trying to correct the mistakes you made in your 20s. 40, you kind of, I'll say late 30s, early 40s, you kind of start getting the grips on things. Like you said, you either in your career, you kind of know where you're going and where you want to go. So I think you're a little bit more mature.
Let me ask you this, Tio.
You're talking about that's when you hit your first midlife crisis, not when you get married.
Yeah, for sure. Tio, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you therefore saying that men are more immature when it comes down to marriage than women? Because are you saying
you just want to know? You just want to bring it up. I can't even say.
Yeah,
that's not a sexist argument now, please.
Here you go.
I didn't say that.
Right.
I just said we start to figure things out better. Like we
kind
of have a better idea.
Okay. No, see, Tio, don't fall for the trap. Because don't fall for the trap. Because let's not act like we don't know women who get married too early and regret it for whatever reason and want to get out as well because they haven't figured out or they were moving too fast. But I'm also not going to completely blame women because I have a question for Catherine because we're all different ages here. And I know me being 44, when I was a teenager, there were a lot of girls because that's the way they were told, hey, when you're 18, start thinking about who you want to get married to, settle down, find a man to support you. Again, not saying that's every case, but you saw that a lot more before these days. So when I talk to people who are teenagers now, I want to get it from Catherine. Isn't that like the furthest thought from your mind by the time
100%.
Right. And what is that?
I get the opposite all the time. Like, you're way too young. Like, don't even think about that till like well within your college years. Like, it's just like we're focused on school and your friends.
Your parents always
understand that because it seems like most women, some women, so to say, they don't want to be dropped, by a man. So they're trying to, make sure they're settled in their career and stuff. They can support themselves. But at the same time, you got that biological clock ticking, and you can't always wait 40 years like the men can,
Well, don't listen to Tio. Don't listen to Tio when it comes to things about genetics. But you shouldn't.
By the time you're 60, your kid's going to be graduating high school.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if you're a woman and if you're not married by the 40, I mean, shit, you're on the bottom rack.
I know he's
not necessary. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being like in your 50s and getting married and trying to have children? I mean, that's
not going to happen.
Well,
no.
Well, here's the thing. That's two different things. We're talking about having children versus married. Okay, I know plenty of people who started dating someone in their 40s and they've been married 20 years and they never had kids. So that's a whole different topic. Not everybody wants to have kids.
That's true.
We're just strictly talking about getting married. And I believe, because we're all giving our perspectives here, that I don't think anybody should be married before the age of 25, male or female. There's too many people that have been taught or feel the need that they've got to get married early. And like Tio has said, there was no courting ship. It's one thing to be in love with somebody and date somebody. It's a whole other thing when you live in the same place. You start seeing things you think you didn't see. You start having animosity, and that's when it runs in bad. And now you've got this legal document that says you're married. And in some places, divorce costs too much. You've already passed the phase for annulment, so you're stuck. And if
So
you
I
get
tell you this,
Yeah.
we actually lived together for 3 years before we got married. And an old trick, well, old tip, I don't want to say trick, that was the wrong word. Old tip that my uncle, one of my uncles gave me. He said like he was like, boy, live with her first. You know, that was on both ends because to your point, we lived together for a year. Well, first before I proposed, because you know you want to get to see how people are. You want to see how it is to live with somebody. You want to see if she like to leave stuff on the couch or you like.
So you want to test drive it.
Yeah, you want to know
Yeah.
those things before you just. I've seen people make the mistake and they get married, then they move in together. Like, no, we live together first. I need to know if you snore when you sleep, or you need to know if I snore. Like, you don't like to take the train. Like, you just certain little small stuff you need to know about somebody, and then
I don't think that
2
works.
years after that, after we lived together, you know, we dated 3 years total. Then we got married, and it, like I said, it was fine. We both knew how to cohabitate. You know, with each other. We knew.
I don't go along with that because, like, say in your case, I mean, since you put it out there, I mean, everybody has those peccadillos, you know, that you live with, whether you leave stuff on the couch or all that, leaving the seat up, that type of thing. But you know, these bad habits that are or problems arise, they just evolve over time. You know, like you were hitting that a while ago. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, things were okay for a while, but we suddenly, whatever, drifted apart. So I don't believe that there's a predictor of success, whether you live together or not. I don't think so.
I know. I see somebody said that it's more detrimental for women to marry later than sooner. Did I read that right?
Yeah, but I don't agree
Yeah,
with that because of what I was going to say before Tio chimed in. Is I've seen, and this is me going off of my female friends. I've seen way too many female friends when I was in my 20s get married too soon, have a kid, and now the marriage isn't working by the time they're 24, and they have to force themselves to be stuck with this person because they have a kid together. And that's why I say 25, because once you have a kid with somebody and you're married at 20, that's a whole bunch of complications that are coming for you and that kid if you've got to separate.
Well, I think sometimes maybe some women feel like they get married earlier because it's like a way of protecting them from getting stuck with a kid, you know, and not married, you know. So they say, well, look, we just gonna go and get married and be done with it, and I don't have to worry about this joker running out on me and leaving me, you know, with a kid, and we're not married. You know, some women think like that, you know.
Well, look, you know, a lot of this is cultural. All right, as I said a while ago, kind of open things up. I mean, at one point in our history, and in some cultures, it's still the same way, that a person became marrying age. We're talking about females mostly now, but a person became marrying age when they hit the years where they could birth children. Well, then it evolved to, okay, let's don't get married until you're out of high school, until you're out of your teens, and then it became don't get married until you got to college. So it's like some external forces in our culture have kind of driven that marrying age up. Little by little over the decades.
Well, I think it's good because we all know stories of people who've been married 40, 50 years, and the husband or even sometimes the wife has cheated 19 times, but they were all taught to you make it work and you stay together. And it's like you force yourself to stay in a miserable marriage for your entire time you're living. You know, like who wants to do that these days?
John, I got one thing to say to you. That is, Hallmark will never be calling you to write a script for one of their movies. I'll say that.
Well, yeah, they will, because all those Hallmark Lifetime movies are the same. Someone's being hurt.
Oh, I agree with you.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's crazy, because if you, just like what John was saying, responding to that, if you're being abused in the marriage, I mean, even with affairs and stuff, that person don't want to dwell with you. They ain't studying you. I mean, you can't live in that kind of atmosphere and expect to maintain your sanity. You know,
I know people that got
hurt.
married in their teens and they stayed there. They stayed happily married, not always, of course, but they stayed married for the rest of their lives and very happily. They weren't, they weren't cheating. They weren't miserable. They got married young and they were happy with it.
It happens. We're not saying it never happens, but more often than not, And we always don't, everybody's got the skeletons. So we don't always know the story. We see couples that we think are extremely happy, and then we find out later that it was 25 plus years of misery.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, yeah, of course.
I'm not
What
saying
you gotta say?
I'm not saying
Marriage
it's
is
doom and gloom. I'm just saying that a lot of people, and again, we're all giving our opinions. My opinion is you should not, no one get married before you're 25. The honeymoon stage, the love stage, everyone's in love when they're in 20s, and they always meet the person of their dreams. And then what? There was a saying someone used to say: people who get married in their 20s are looking for their second wife or husband in their mid 30s.
What about you, Jay?
Or practicing for marriage in their 30s.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot that I wanted to say because there were so many valid points that were made that I wanted to double down on, sort of like Tio's, because you need to live with somebody in order to see what they're like, because you could be dealing with a whole completely separate monster. Because when you go out of your house, say you have to go on a date with the person that you're with, they act different. Versus as to where Mark brought up a very valid point as well, because people have started to marry later because people got married younger. But as well as if I'm not mistaken, biologically, you don't mentally mature fully until you're 25. So I would say the age should be around 28 at the least, because you're not only in your career after graduating college, but you're also well established with work at the minimum 28 and at the maximum towards your 30s.
Interesting. I saw someone say something about that people are stuck with kids, and sometimes people, everybody don't need to have children in a marriage. I saw that comment too, and I can definitely understand. Everybody's not meant to have children, because they don't know how to act, and they're just not for it. So it's fine. I agree with that, but I agree with Mark as well. Melvin, you don't have to. You don't have to, huh?
Who's Melvin?
Keone, I agree with Keone that you don't. I mean, you should. After college is a good age, perhaps to do it, as well as for the woman. Am I right, Alita? Because you don't want to be too old if you want children, and you're gonna try to climb up in there in your late 40s or early 40s. You need to go and do it. So your baby and your pregnancy would be well with you.
For sure.
Was that your?
Yeah, sadly there is that clock ticking. So I think maybe the correct age is probably like maybe 35, because you're still not within that range where your fertility could possibly go down. You're old enough where you're
Like
established, you know yourself. If there was some kind of what's it called?
Well, we were you're lagging a little bit. We were sold the fairy tale. And again, I'm talking about my age group, and I'm sure the ones before me, you're sold the fairy tale at an early age, whether it's a guy or a girl. We've all been sold the fairy tale. Ladies, get to that age, married, you get a man to take care of you and your family. Fella, you get married, you find a wife, have kids, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, Catherine, you're the youngest one here, younger than Alita. What do your parents talk to you? Have your parents talked to you about getting married later? Have you had that discussion with them?
Not really anything towards like marriage. I think just like, I don't know. I feel like within like the whole different, like, I agree with like waiting till at least 25, because I feel like you're a different person at different points in your life. Like you're a different person in high school than you are going to be in college, and that's like great. And like that's great if you find somebody in high school, and that's great if you two can grow together. But like some people go to college and they're like partying all the time. Other people are studying all the time. I think if you two can grow together and continue to grow and expand, that's great, but that doesn't always work for people. So I definitely agree with living together before, but definitely haven't had like the marriage conversation, just like more like friends. Like sometimes you guys can grow together, other times you can't, so you just kind of have to let each other go within that regard to like two people.
That's interesting. I was told that if the man can have
it's important to also date to like add on to that.
Go ahead, Alita. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alita.
I think it is a date and kind of use those years to figure out what you really want because you are different people at different points.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I was told that a man.
Lisette, I just want to say to the audience, we're having bad weather on the East Coast, so that's a lot of the going in and out on cameras. We apologize. We're doing the best we can. All right, sorry, Lisette, go ahead.
I was told, and some of these old women said, look, if he can have his cake and ice cream, why would he want to? If he can get his milk from the cow, why would he want to buy a cow? You know, if he's gonna go ahead on and live with you and get all the goodies and the cherries, why would he want to marry you? You know what I'm saying?
We're too casual about that these days.
All right, but we ain't got it. It's not look, because you know I'm about.
I don't think I understand this Southern lingo.
Yeah, and look, it's not always the man. Let's not start this. I look because you know what? I saw something today, and I know this is off topic. Sorry to share my personal, my personal life, but I was in a public restroom in a restaurant, and I looked and I saw the baby changing station in the male bathroom, and I'm like, you know how long it took to get those baby changing stations in the male bathroom? As if there's no single fathers out here. Like the only people that are single parents are mothers, and men have complained for a long time. I can't change my baby because there ain't no baby changing station in the male bathroom. They're all in the women's bathroom.
I really didn't know there was any male changing stations in the male bathroom. I think that's great.
Weren't. It did. I've just started seeing them.
I've never been in one.
There really weren't.
Oh my God.
So I can't tell, you know.
Lisette, you've never been in a male bathroom, but trust me.
Let me change that.
Your phone number has though.
Let me change. As a matter of fact, I did walk in a male bathroom, all right? But I didn't know where I was at. So here I go, minding my own business, walking into a male bathroom, and I see this man standing. I'm like, why you standing there for? I didn't know. And then all of a sudden, it dawned on me, you're in the men's bathroom. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I am so, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Clarence, what Clarence? How do you deal with her, Clarence? Please put in the chat,
him like he was in the wrong place. What you doing standing there?
Right, Lisette, the urinals didn't throw you off?
It did. I said, now when did they get these urinals in women's bathrooms?
Oh my God.
I said, how are we going to use that? And then I saw the man. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so. Oh. I heard him ran out.
Oh man.
Oh, Catherine. So, Catherine, this is the first time. Everybody, welcome Catherine again for her first episode. Happy to have Catherine. Catherine, this happens sometimes. We go a little off the rails, and it's mostly because Lisette
So happy to have
is either
you.
having a terrible time at some restaurant, or she's having a horrible customer service experience, and the food's always terrible. And now we're finding out that she goes accidentally into male bathrooms, and I don't know what Clarence is going to do.
I know, don't we? What is it?
Well, hey, what about this? And anybody can chime in. Do you have to get married? I know couples, and I'm just going to call them couples, that have been together, living in the same house with kids or with pets for 2 decades and not having one single issue that you have to get married.
I've seen that happen. Like, it's still shocking to me because some of these were like my friends' parents. I mean, I guess you can say like, and we like in our 30s, and I'm just finding out that his mom and his dad, like, they weren't married. They was just together for 25, 30 years.
Shacking.
And never was married.
Negative though.
I mean, but like you said, if it works, I mean, apparently it worked. And some of them, like recently within the last 5 years, have gotten married, because I went to a couple where I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, damn, I thought they were already married. I didn't know that they weren't married this whole time. And we've been through high school, like all of this. I'm like, oh my God, I've never it's odd to me, but I guess people do it if it works. You know, it's no rule. Like you said, we just been conditioned. Like you were saying, John, we just been
But I
conditioned to
remember
have this,
Mark referencing
traditional
rights.
way of doing things because that's what we were taught. I get it. Everybody wants the picket fence in the house and the dog and and all of that, but it don't necessarily work that way like all the time. But
Well, I mean,
know,
let me say something that's going to get John out of his chair, I'm sure, and that is, but I think Lisetta like this. Is that are the Ten Commandments relevant when it comes to this? And when it says
It's
about
relevant.
committing adultery,
It's relevant to
it
Lisette,
is.
not relevant to me because again, even though I grew up Christian, there are many beliefs and there are people who come from many different places. So I don't behold that to everyone, number one. And there's a whole bunch of things on those commandments that people do wrong. They just pick which ones they want to hold against you.
I agree.
That's
Adultery,
true.
adultery is wrong
But
religiously or not. I have never cheated on anyone I've ever dated or been married to. I don't see a need to. If I've got
Same
to
here.
cheat, I just need to not be with you.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Yes, it is in the Christianity, in the Ten Commandments
And
about
not
the
just
adultery
Christianity,
thing.
by the way, it's in Islam
No,
too,
I'm
In
just saying,
religion,
you
a lot of
brought up-
religions, I agree. But
and Judaism.
however, I don't think you should just marry someone because it's expected of you to marry. If you're not
agree.
mentally able,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think you should push somebody
Of
into
course.
marriage. If you're not ready to marry, you need to leave it alone because you end up causing a whole lot of other trouble. You shouldn't let nobody make you marry, but at the same time, hey, it's definitely in the bylaws of the church. You got to marry.
Well, and I'm not
You plan
okay.
on
Now I'll
doing
get
the
off the
nasty.
religious angle for a second, and I'll just go back to a movie I saw once, and without going into too much detail.
Wait. Was this movie before the 80s?
No, it came out in the
And
2000s.
that's another thing you're going to experience. Mark is going to make references from the 1920s and 30s, so you're just going to have
Well,
to do the best you can.
That's because I read more than text messages. Okay, but in this
Be
movie,
ready for him to be blowing the dust off of a lot of old books from that shelf behind him.
have you you've heard of Liam Neeson, right? This is a movie with Liam Neeson, and he wasn't the one that said this line, but they were talking about about sex,
Love
all right?
him.
And the woman's line was about how freely to have sex and stuff like that. And she said that, he said, we're bound by all these conventions and these rules, blah, 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 blah. He would in favor of them. And she said, those rules are enforced, or they're there to keep us from hurting each other. That's why, and when your parent or when someone says, don't do something, it's usually saying, don't hurt yourself. And we hurt ourselves a lot with our sexual behaviors in our culture. And I'm not being judgmental here, anything like that, or saying that I'm or high and mighty. I'm just saying I think sometimes we take that a little bit too light. So we'll shack up for a while, see how things work out.
Hey, I get what you're saying, but you lost me on that. We hurt ourselves with our something behavior because my behaviors are awesome. So, what about this Veil of Shadow says marriage is just the government acknowledging you're a couple. That's a comment from him. And then somebody said Lisette is doing good. I like the interesting answers and questions. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, what about him saying, hey,
Thank you.
I don't think it's just the government because we think of government, we think of our government, but marriage has been around since forever. And I don't know. I just don't think it's something that you should use to measure your happiness with someone else. And I'm not talking as a guy who's married.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I don't.
I agree with
Mark-
that.
Oh, go ahead.
Caitlin, let me ask Caitlin this question. Caitlin, do you
I need
know
to
his
find
brand?
Caitlin. Okay.
Lisette.
Lisette, for the 5th time, Caitlin is on my perspective.
Catherine,
Catherine.
Catherine, forgive me, Catherine. Catherine, do you know of? I'm so sorry. Do you know of anyone like maybe your age or around about your age, whether a friend or maybe a relative or someone that got married at a young age, and how are they doing right now? You know, do you know of anyone like that?
No, I don't think anybody.
I know my parents got married at a really young age. I think my mom was like 21 maybe. They're not together anymore. So there's that. Other than that, I think a lot of my mom's like generation got married a lot younger. And it's kind of a mix of people.
I was just curious.
Catherine, do you prescribe to the notion, because this is the notion I prescribe to, and you can agree or disagree, that make sure it's something for you before you do it. Don't just do it because you've been told to.
Right.
100%. I just think that everybody is so like different, and I just think you have to do what's best for you. Like, don't force yourself to do something because 4 people over here are telling you that you should do this. I just think you've got to figure out what your life path is and if that's going to be beneficial for you down the road.
This is good because you know what I was thinking mentally, what are some of the pitfalls mentally that people should kind of consider when they get married? Because I've seen a lot of selfish people. You know, they always say it's about me, I, but when you get married, it's about we. You know what I'm saying? Is that right? No eyes no more.
No eyes
that's
no
gone.
more.
I mean, of course, you got your individual goals and stuff. I'm not talking about it, but I've seen some women that are very selfish about that thing. You know, I, me, and they don't want to conform into the we. So if that's the case, why get married?
Yeah.
If you're so in and about yourself, go be by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, okay. All right, Jay.
I like that.
Yeah.
He's good with those little one-liners like that.
One-liners,
I've seen men as well. You know, I don't want to pick on the men, but they want to hang out with the boys. And even some of the women want to hang out with their girls. You know, all this, that, and want to go out and, leave the, you got to be careful about that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, you're not mentally of the age of getting married.
You can do that and still be married. I mean, I was married for 14 years.
All the time.
I wasn't 40 years old, but we had our moments where she had a girls' night out. I went with the fellas. It's all we get on a different show topic, but that's just trust and insecurities. You know, she never blew up my phone trying to find out what I'm doing, where I'm at, who am I talking to, and I never did the same for her. So that goes into you. If you don't, but again, like you're saying, Lisette, if that's going to be a problem, then maybe
all
you
the
should
time.
Wait, because I hate people. And we've all had the friend that got married and they can't do anything. And that just seems miserable.
Yeah.
I
used to play flag football in Miami, me and my friends, every Sunday. And one day this guy was missing for like a month. And so when he finally came back, all the wives were sitting on these little benches. And we're like, where have you been? Oh, my wife didn't want me to come play football on Sundays for a while.
That's pitiful.
I said, well, were y'all going to church? No. What were y'all doing? No, I was just around the house. And I'm like, we're just looking at her like, well, what was the problem? I was like, she's like, he just came here too much. I'm like, he's playing football. Would you rather him go to the strip club on Saturday night? Like, why? It's just like, I don't know.
That's like I said, that's a completely different. We can go way off with that.
That's that Kevin Hart thing when he said when your girl calls you and she hears fun, so she gets.
Oh yeah, I got to shut fun down. Everybody put your seatbelt on. Look safe. Look safe.
That's interesting.
I was gonna. Well, real quick, I'll pivot real quick and say what I don't like, because I think we almost hit on it earlier because we was talking kind of around it. What I don't like is I don't like people marrying because they had kids and they feel like they have to do that.
That's a shotgun marriage.
Yeah, and especially when it's not right. The kid like being together, and I don't like people staying together just for the kids. I hear that excuse a lot, and especially when it's a toxic situation. I hear people going through that all the time. Oh, they don't want to split because of the kids. I feel like that's a bad that's a bad combination because the situation is not going to get any better. I think if people find ways nowadays, if people can find better ways to co-parent, I think the kids in the long run will respect that more and appreciate that more versus being in a situation where, you know, it's the energy is all bad in the home, because kids can sense that at an early age, and they really can see that when they're older. And I hear stories like that all the time, and that just kind of make my skin crawl, like when people do that. I was in a situation where I don't have a biological kid. I do have a stepson. When we were dating, he was 5. He was about to turn 5 years old. He's 21 now. So I'm pretty much like all the dad that he knows. But he understood like the situation, and he, you know, would tell us straight up, if this make you guys happy, if this is better, you know, I understand you got to do what you got to do. Like, we weren't in a situation where we have little kids, where we have to, we stand together for the kids. You know, we was empty nesters. He's away in college. You know, he's a grown man. So we figured, you know, it would be better now. And we just had the conversation, and the fact that we respect each other enough to realize we in different places right now. And this is what we need to do, you know, moving forward before things got toxic, because neither one of us were big arguers. Out of 16 years, we never really had arguments. We had little disputes here and there, but for the most part, you know, we didn't do that. So before we got out of character, we like, all right, let's call a timeout. This is not where, let's figure this out. And boom, we still hang out every week still like we did. We go have drinks and tacos, and we still, you know, hang out, text each other, laugh and joke, but just for us together. No.
I am still amazed that this is the topic that got Tio to talk about. Tio's been quiet for 2 months. He said more in this episode than he said in 5 episodes combined.
Well, this is a lot cheaper than this is a lot cheaper than paying a therapist. So,
For sure.
Hey, I saw that topic. I was like, wow, okay.
Oh, you know what?
Who peeping in my window?
That's a good question, Lisette, and I'm sorry to steal the question over, because Mark just brought up something. I used to say this all the time, but then people don't like it. I was like, people should go see my friend, because 2 of my friends did this. They said, we went to see a marriage counselor before we got married.
yeah.
What's wrong with that?
No, nothing's wrong. I just found that awesome. And then, but my question I wanted to ask is, do you think getting a divorce should be made easier? Because it's very, very hard in a lot of places.
I would like to say something to what you just said about the marriage counselor. I think that's a great idea. I think the marriages should, people that are married should go to marriage counselors. And I will like to say, it doesn't I'll say for people church-wise, it doesn't always have to be a pastor. I think that you need to go to an actual licensed marriage counselor, because sometimes some religious leaders can be biased. They can, you know, you need somebody where you can actually vent, just like Tio was venting. You know, you need to be able to vent and not be scared of what you're going to say. You know, you don't want to offend nobody, So, I think you should go to an actual counselor.
I got a little different twist on that. I mean, if you want to go to a licensed, secular counselor, fine. But I know that a lot of ministers, before they will conduct a marriage ceremony, they want to talk to the people they're marrying. They want to know what they're doing.
I agree.
And so a lot of them require counseling. And granted, it's their version of it. But if you're going to a minister to get married, it assumes that you have that religious orientation and you won't mind being exposed to that. Now, if you got some stuff that you really don't feel comfortable saying to a minister, whatever the case may be, then
I got you, Mark. I'm not talking about in that way. I'm talking about really mainly if once you actually you're married. That's what, more or less, that's probably what I was talking about. Once you're married, because then they know you, they know her, and so it's kind of hard to you're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you need to go to someone
attached.
Wait.
You know what I'm talking about, Jay?
Wait, Lisette, you just threw me a curveball because we were talking about before. Okay. You threw me a curveball. But you said something when you were talking, and you said the word bias. And this can happen too, depending on, again, everything is relative to age. You know, younger preachers teach differently. You can get some older preachers that you may go talk to that are heavily biased towards the supporter of the family, which is the male, who may be gearing you towards a more servitorial role to your husband. So it really depends on what is that wife wanting out of that counselor. Because you could go to a certain minister, and again, I'm not talking about all. That's why I said it could be age.
Yeah, not all.
When you get to the bias, you might be gearing her towards something that she's not looking to go towards in that marriage. So I get that part when you said bias. Is that kind of what you were
Yeah,
alluding
kind
to?
of like what I'm saying. Sometimes, and also in the way that sometimes you just need to be free to vent, free to tell your faults and without somebody looking at you saying like, I didn't know you wrong. You might need to have that freedom of letting it all out.
But I think you're being a bit tough on ministers. I think most ministers
I'm not trying to be tough on them.
Well, no, but most of them I think, are better trained and a tad more sophisticated than you give them credit for in that area. I mean, they're trained in counseling. They're trained not to come across as too judgmental and to tell. And of course, it depends on the denomination too. A very conservative denomination will be like that. But
that's why I caveat it by saying it could depend, because I mean, I'm not saying it just out of nowhere. I'm saying, when I speak in my perspective, it's things I've observed. So I'm not canvassing on ministers. That's why I was caveating, when she said bias. That's why, just like with anything, whether you're talking to a minister or a licensed therapist, you have to be willing to receive, but you also have to, I don't know the saying, Mark, is it listen with a third ear or watch with a third eye or whatever? Plus, make sure your minister isn't one of those ministers that has 3 mistresses either while they're over there counseling.
Well, look. By the same token, I know of someone who was a clinical psychologist. You talk about your 3 mistresses, and this clinical psychologist lost her license because she started having an affair with a patient. So that can happen in the secular world too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know some ministers that have definitely blessed me in marriage counseling. I'm not really, I know there are a lot. There's some out there, but if you going to a spiritual leader and they're having issues in their own home, then how in the world are they going to tell you? So you can't always go by the fact that they're
everyone has issues. Okay, so and now it's just a matter of how, to what extent. Because I do know of one minister who was given all this therapy to counseling, and not long after he married this couple, he went and divorced his wife himself. So, but ministers
I don't have any issues.
What's that?
I don't have any issues. That's not true. Everybody doesn't have issues, because I don't have any issues.
You don't know,
John. You're crazy.
Hey,
don't listen to him, audience.
Hey,
Naomi is insane.
I resemble that remark, and my medication says you are correct, Jay. Henry, I feel like Henry's never getting married because he hasn't said much on this one. Now that it's
Henry's already been married.
Yep, divorced.
He's got women throwing up. He's got women throwing up in his mouth. So he's I don't know.
Oh, jeez!
Not that story again. You gonna get him started?
Mark, you gotta remember, Catherine is new here. She doesn't know the story of that. We're not going to get
welcome
into
to the crew.
We're not going to get into the story of that.
Now, Catherine has officially been christened on the My Perspective Mondays.
She's heard the set bathroom story and his throwing up story. So there we go.
All right. So, but let's do this. Okay. Let's get a consensus, because we kind of went all over the place. Lisette, take us around the room and ask everybody what ideal age they think you should wait.
Let's go back and flow back through it again. I'm gonna swing it back to y'all again. What age do y'all think is ideal for marriage? I'm gonna start with Catherine. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
No.
Finally.
Jay said no.
I think probably like 25 or older.
Jay?
I would say the same, 25 to like 32 or so.
Keone.
Her name is a Gap.
Mind the gap.
Oh my God.
You've been on London subways.
Keone.
Catherine stole my number. So I'm gonna say 72. No, I'm just kidding.
I know not.
I'm with Catherine. I think 25. When your insurance goes down, you should think about getting married.
Tio.
I'm gonna say 30.
Alita?
Ideal. I'll say 30.
Okay. Alita?
I think her audio's out. I think she's still having problems.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Mark?
say she's
26.
Oh, he just Catherine. Mark just prices right at us.
Yeah, he
You
just
know,
he just $1. He just $1.
Over
You
one.
think you better than us, Mark, just because you upscored us by $1?
Right. Now we said $500. He said 501, and the actual
501.
retail price was 516. Screw you, Mark.
Better than us just because you got 4 quarters?
What about you, Henry?
I was saying 28 for men and about 22 or 23 for women.
So you want a bunch of 28-year-old men marrying 22-year-old women? That sounds like it's self-serving for you.
Oh, I mean,
It also sounds
I mean,
like you like crazy to me.
28 is about the time that men have their shit figured it out. They have a good career, maybe a house or something. You know, because men, any number before that, they're pretty stupid and poor.
Well, you speak for yourself.
I
Any
was just as effed up at 30 as I was 24. So it didn't make any
right.
difference.
And
I mean,
plus,
but you
we're
you have
allowed-
more money to be fucked up.
yeah, but we're
After-
allowed to grow together. You don't always have to grow on your own, and while you're waiting to, it's that thing of we can't always wait for all the planets to align. I said 25 because like 5 of the planets are aligned. I don't want you to wait for all of them to align. Some of the audience. Oh wait, I'll do the audience answers after you, Lisette.
I would say maybe like 26 for women, maybe like 28 or 29 for men. Go for it.
Lisette, let me ask Lisette something, John, first, all right?
Okay.
So she's a church-going type. How old do you think the greatest mother in human history, how old do you think Mary was when she got married?
She was young. She was
Probably
very
teenager,
young.
right?
14.
Yes.
Because
she
in
was
her
young.
culture, that was what you did.
Yeah.
So it's
She
cultural.
was young.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to use those days because sometimes the girls had no say. It's not like they willingly got married at
It's true.
14.
Yeah,
They were
that's true.
told they're getting married at
It
14.
was arranged.
It's still that
What
way.
about- what was
Some Islamic culture, same way still.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm ready to hear some of the comments, Keone.
All right. Lorraine says between the ages of 28 and 32. We've got Justinitz or whatever. I'm sorry, Jex Stinen says between the ages of 27 and 36. I like that. And I like that Clarence says most people that I know who got married in their 20s are looking for someone else.
Woo! And I was one of them.
And,
I was 21.
I never heard of him before. It got
Excuse me?
Clarence.
And this is my favorite one. Weenie Trade says, I got to figure this one out. I'm getting married next year.
Uh-oh.
So I hope we're not responsible because Weenie is engaged. I hope we're not responsible for talking him out of it.
Oh man.
I know. Wouldn't want to do that.
I hereby disavow all association.
I just believe that it just depends on your mentally. How, are you capable? Are you able, as well as physically, are you able to deal with another person in your life? And like someone said, their habits, and are you really able to deal with that? Someone said, I think 30, Brenda.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I mean, nobody can tell you. You have to know that for yourself. And even people that's older, I know some people that got married in their 60s, and hey, if they want, so what? I mean, obviously they're not trying to have children, biological children. So if they're happy at getting married at 60, but ideally, because most people kind of do want to have children, most people, some people don't, but ideally, I believe that you're going to have to plan it when you can do that.
I believe you see that thing on the screen.
Time for some final thoughts. Final thoughts. Time for some final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Anybody got any? You know what? Final thoughts mean like that's the end of the road. So y'all have any end of the road thoughts? Let's do it off with Catherine. See, I almost said
Oh my goodness, here we go again.
Catherine.
I think you'll get it one of these times.
I will. I promise.
This is episode
Atlas
23,
said-
Catherine. She's gonna get it right in episode 37.
I
Sounds
know,
good.
you're right, Catherine. But what's your final thoughts for tonight, Catherine?
I don't know if I really have any final thoughts. I mean, everyone kind of said different things, but at the end, I think we got to like a concisive age.
I mean, then again, Catherine's the new here. We should probably give her a good sense of.
Let her go last because she didn't realize we all have to have final thoughts. So let her go.
All right, Jay.
Personally, I would say you have to be ready because I was 17 dating somebody and they were talking about getting married. And the first thing into my mind was like, I don't even know where this is going. So they were like, so what do you think? No. But I'm not about to sit here and tell people how to live their lives because I didn't want to do something like that because I don't know where this relationship is going. And we ended up breaking up before even graduating high school. So 25 to 31 is what I say is a good age range to get married.
Henry?
Me, I mean, I said what I said earlier, but I don't really think there's an exact number per se that you should get married. I mean, like for example, if you're a girl and you're dating some billionaire, you should try to marry that guy as soon as possible. I mean, clearly. And if you're a guy, if you're a millionaire by the age of 25, there's no reason for you to get married. Just stay single forever. Girls will come to you and you can pick one to choose later on. So I mean, there's really no no right number. Like, or if you're dating a same girl or same guy for 12 years, and you guys are about to turn 24, maybe it's about the good time to put a ring on it. But I don't really think there's like an exact number that you should get married. It really just depending where you are, what situation that you're in, and who you're dating. But if you ask me for a number, like I said, 28 for guys, 22 for women.
Mark?
Well, I'll piggyback what something John said a while. I like the way you phrased it, and that is you can't follow your heart. Okay, that'll get you in trouble. But you can't wait for all the stars to be aligned, or whatever he said, perfectly, because that time in life never comes. And also, if you think that way, then you're overly cautious, and you never take a chance, and you never get married. You have analysis paralysis, and so you can deprive yourself of a lot of happiness by not taking that big chance. And it is a big chance. It's a chance of a lifetime, both good and bad. But as far as the magic number goes, no. I just threw that out because I was asked. So,
Tio.
I didn't make 15's the average ideal age. 15.
Oh my God.
Okay, first of all, is my
16
screen
drive?
Is my screen froze? I feel like my screen froze for some reason, but
No, you're
No,
doing everything.
we can see you, little man, on that big old couch.
yeah, I was hoping I got through this episode without you saying that. Anyway, live your 20s, enjoy your 20s, experience life, get married when you're 30. I was a little tongue in cheek earlier with the 40 thing, but no, get married when you're 30. I feel like you're just a tad bit more mature. And what's love got to do with it? Do what works for you. You know what I mean? So y'all said everything. I agree with what a lot of everybody else said. That's pretty much all I got. Or don't get married at all, like Henry said.
Well, I mean, it depends what situation that you're in.
Alita,
Alita just fixed her glasses.
Alita.
Froze again.
Oh,
Oh, she's in like a hurricane.
We're gonna work on that. Oh wow.
Is that the connection of the device? Can we get her a new laptop for her birthday?
Wow.
Boost Mobile. Alita's gonna kill me. I know she's gonna call me after this and say,
Yes.
"Really,
You was
Keone,
fucking-
really."
Keone, you want me to go or you want to go?
I'll let you end it because I'll let you go after me because if you say some things, you know how I get. I'm gonna start babbling on what you said because I'm gonna be like, did she really say that? But no, I think number one, don't do anything that everyone else tells you to do. There's no age that everyone should tell you, even though we're sitting here picking ages. If you don't feel like getting married at 25, don't feel like married at 25. If you don't feel like getting married at 30, 18, whatever. The H word is the only thing I look for first in any type of relationship. It's not how much money you make. It's not where you live. It's the H word. Can you make me happy? And then we'll go from there. Okay?
there you go.
You can make me happy. We can go from there. All right? That's what I believe. And there's no number on it for you. But in general, I think early 20s is too soon. Don't get caught up in the honeymoon phase. Because when you're 20, it's always the man of your dreams. You've met the woman of your dreams, the one for you. It's always that. And then you end up 50 and you realize I've had 5 that were the love of my life. So go with how
I know
you
it's
feel.
interesting. I just believe that love is the factor. Love is the factor.
Who said that?
Somebody said never is a good time.
Y'all know who that is. That's Sheldon. He's been
Well,
on here 2 times, but he's mostly
That's their
popping up on
perspective.
the
That's their
side.
perspective. But I would like to say that love is a factor. Sometimes love will hit you in your teens. It'll hit you in your 20s, 30s, or 40s. It'll hit you one way or the other. And I cannot say to you, don't marry, because if it hits you right, you're gonna do it. I don't care what nobody say, you're gonna do it anyway. So you might just leave them alone. But ideally, of course, we got some ideal ages that you should do it. But the fact of the matter is, if you love someone, you're gonna do it. But we got to remember too, whenever you do decide to marry, you got to work at that thing. It's work. It requires work. And it's not just like some fantasy, oh, it's going to be happy ever after. It ain't going to happen like that. You got to work at it, and you got to become we and not me. You got to become we, not me. But anyway, so I would just like to say, if you contemplating getting married or whatever, think about that thing. Make sure you're doing the right thing before you involve someone else, and let the love be the factor, and also let the factor be, can I was gonna say survive, but can I maintain? So I'm gonna say it like that.
I will survive.
If you have ideas and topics that you would love for us to talk about, make sure you put them in the comments, and we will use those topics.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tune into My Perspective Fridays as well. Don't forget to subscribe to Keone Productions so you can win some money. I know you need it. So you win some money, all right? Give our cast a hand. I love you guys.
Wait.
Catherine.
Wait,
So
I'm
wait a
sorry. We usually end on that note, but this comment that just came in at the last second, I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just put it up. Best friend,
adopt a child, paint your picket fence, and call it a
fudging.
Adopt a child.
day. Okay.
Joni, you spelled very wrong.
Let's leave. Bye.